Okay. All right. Hi, my name is Molly Scheid. I am here with OpGov.News, where we strive to promote transparency between local government and the community. Today, I'm here with Pratima Sonavane, and she is running for Contra Costa County Clerk-Recorder. Pleasure to be here with you.
Pleasure.
We will dive into your first question. So, as you know, the Clerk-Recorder handles everything from marriages to property to voting. In your view, what is the single most important part of this job?
People often ask me what a clerk-recorder actually does. I like to say that while other offices make the headlines, this office holds the foundation of your life. If I had to pick the single most important part of this job, it isn't paperwork. I think it's the preservation of public trust. Think about important things of your life, like, for example, your home. The recorder side of this office is only the thing between you and property fraud. Without a transparent, rock-solid system in place, the economy would stall. So your home is like your greatest investment, and my job is to make sure that the investment is legally indisputable. The other part of it is think about it, when you get married, welcome a new child, or say goodbye to your dear ones, we are the keepers of the records. They aren't just documents, they are the proof of your existence and your rights in the society. I take being the gatekeeper of your legal identity personally. We all see political debates about voting, but the clerk recorder is where the rubber meets the road. While we handle the logistics, the voter rolls, and the ballot integrity. If we don't get the who and how right, the what is going to be a big cloud of doubt. My mission is to ensure that when you ask me, does my vote count? The answer is unquestionably yes. In 2026, the world is digital, and the biggest threat we face isn't a lost paper file, it's the cybersecurity. My vision is to ensure that the record created today remains hackable and readable even 100 years down. Ultimately, the clerk recorder is the custodian of truth. Others may see this as a series of filing, but I see it as a sacred duty. When you ask me, is this legal? Is this mine? And does my voice matter? The records I keep will provide an answer that it is beyond reproach.
And I love how you talk about promoting trust and transparency, because as I said in the beginning, that's a big part of what we strive to do at OpGov.News. And another thing we are very interested in covering is unopposed local races. And I know you have talked about how several local races go unopposed and how this has inspired you to run.
Right.
So one of my questions is, what do you think the incumbent could have done to address the unopposed races concern you have mentioned in your pitch?
There's quite a danger in local government that we don't talk enough. When an office is seen as boring, it becomes invisible. And when an office becomes invisible, the leadership stops auditioning their job. They slip into a cycle of massive maintenance while the front door to our democracy slowly rusts. My opponent often points to her certified election observer program or her voter trust marketing campaigns as a proof of her engagement. But marketing isn't the same as empowerment. If the incumbent wanted to address the concerns that inspired me to run, she would have looked past the PR and made these 3 human-centered shifts years ago. Firstly, we must move beyond show and tell to search and secure. The current administration spent significant amount on the tax dollars on the ambassador program to tell you that the system is safe. But why are we spending that tax dollar to convince you to trust us instead of building that system that proves it through results? So while we focus on marketing, we still have paper-first bottlenecks that force little companies and families to wait on manual lookups. The leader who felt the heat of the competition of the race would have auditioned our digital infrastructure years ago to ensure that a 20-year-old and an 80-year-old would have the same ease in accessing or navigating through their property records. Secondly, we must bring office to the doorstep, not just our social media feed. It's great to have a website about secure elections, but you shouldn't have to trek to the Martinis building and navigate through the hallways to just access your birth certificates or a deed. According to me, a proactive leader would have launched pop-up clinics in our local libraries and communities. Mm-hmm. We need to stop waiting for residents to find us and start meeting them where they live. Finally, and most importantly, is we must open the guts of the democracy. The incumbent outreach has something that happened 60 days before an election. But when over 80 local offices in 2024, as we know, go with 0 candidates, and currently about dozens of offices that have 0 candidates, that's a failure of a leadership, according to me. People aren't staying home because they don't care. They are staying home because they haven't been invited in. And instead of just recruiting election ambassadors to carry a message, we should use that platform to mentor the next generation. Running workshops, how to actually run an office or how to spot property fraud before it ruins a family's life. And the bottom line, there is the subtle incumbent trap, where standard operating procedures become a shield against innovation. My opponent sees this office as functioning. I see this office as becoming invisible to the very people that it serves. I'm running because Clerk-Recorder shouldn't be a custodian of the past. It should be an engine of the future. It's time to stop the marketing campaigns and to begin the community partnerships. It's time we finally prop the door open for everybody.
Great. And you just touched on a few of these things about how you've pledged to make the office more transparent, accessible, and engaging. And I know you already gave us a few examples. Is there anything else you want to add of how you plan to expand civic participation for the next generation of voters?
Yeah, my plan is to turn the office into a community service. So the role of the Clerk-Recorder shouldn't be a mystery hidden behind a building. To get the next generation involved, we have to stop expecting them to come to us. We have to meet them where they are, on their phones, right? In their neighborhoods. We have to prove that we value their time as much as their vote. So, in my opinion, I would turn what I would do differently, I would say, is turn these values into functional, cost-effective plans. One would be modernizing the user experience, just respecting that time. Your young people aren't empathetic. They're busy. Mm-hmm. They expect government services to be reliable as the apps they use to run their lives. If you can't file a document or check a registration from your phone while waiting for a bus, I think the system is broken. I will prioritize mobile-friendly redesign of our portal under the Mobile First program that I propose. This isn't just about looking cool. It's about reducing the overhead cost of in-person processing and physical mailers. You can, these days you can track a $15 pizza from an oven to the door. You should be able to track your mail ballots with the same ease. Digital, the other part would be radical transparency that I would like to bring in. We lose people when they don't see these offices affect the actual life. I want to change the narrative from filing paperwork to protecting your future. I launch a series of short, no-nonsense videos explaining the why, which often people don't get. How a property record is actually the shield that protects your future home. How a marriage license is vital legal safeguard for you. I will move our records into visual ease to read dashboards. If a student or a young activist wants to see the voting trends, for example, or the property shifts in their town, they shouldn't need a law degree to go and see that. They should be able to find the data, and that's what I propose to do, is bring the data as an open source so that they can search it for themselves. Other way I am looking at is the civic apprenticeship, where I'm looking at as an investment and not just an outreach program. It's a real engagement. It isn't a sticker, it's a seat at the table. Instead of just looking for temporary help like the election and ambassador programs that are there currently, I will create a formal program for high schools or college students to serve as technical leads at the polling. We leverage their natural digital literacy. Here we can leverage their natural literacy to help olders and in return get in the front row seat to see the integrity of our system. It's an investment in a lifelong voter for the price of the temporary shift. We aren't going to mail forms to high schools and hope for the best. We are going to bring the actual equipment to them. We'll mock elections and security walkthroughs so that they actually see the protocols with their own eyes and see how the system that they have, they can become a defender of the system by visually seeing it themselves. Yeah.
And I think it's great how you're talking about expanding civic participation. And I think you also mentioned in the beginning, some people might not even know what a county clerk recorder does. And so for your current term, possible future term, what do you think would be the visible difference?
If I had been serving our current clerk recorder this term, the biggest change you would have noticed isn't a new policy or a line in a budget. It's how the office treats your time and your trust. So you would have felt a shift from the office that acts like a gatekeeper to the one that acts like a service provider. You would have reclaimed your half a day. Right now, too many simple tasks like getting a copy of a birth certificate or filing a small business name still require you to drive to Martinis, right? That is a tax on your time that working families shouldn't need to pay. If I was a clerk recorder, I would have had a digital front door. Whether you're a parent or a small business owner on the go, you could have handled your business securely from your phone. My goal would be simple. No one should have to take a half day off work to interact with the county. You would have also seen radical transparency in a time when people have questions about election security. Silence from the county is a big mistake. My opponent has focused on marketing campaigns and election ambassador programs to tell you that the system is safe. I would have shown you how I would have implemented the open house of our testing and the ballot tracking. Instead of just sending out postcards to the office, I would have bring in a Civic 101 hub showing you exactly how ballots travel from your mailbox to your tally. Trust isn't something you ask for. It is something you earn by being an open book. You should have seen an active shield. You should have seen an active shield for your home property. Property fraud is a nightmare, and it isn't discovered until it's discovered, and it becomes too late. So I would have launched a property title alert system. Think of it like a fraud alert you get on your credit cards, right? Similarly, this office will turn itself from being a passive library into an active shield of your greatest investments. The bottom line difference, I would say, if you walked into the office today under my leadership, the first thing you would notice is the big dashboard, a real-time transparent board that will be showing you exactly what we are doing for you. The current wait times, how many documents we've processed this week, and a security scorecard for our digital systems. The ultimate difference, you would have seen an office that doesn't wait for you to need them, but works for you every single day to be more useful to you.
Yeah, and thank you for breaking that down, because I think it's really important for voters at home to understand the impact of this position on their everyday life. And that brings me to my next question, which is, how do you think your background in HR and business will serve you well in this position?
Well, most people think of clerk's recorder's office as just as back office to the county, a place full of old file cabinets and paperwork, but I don't see it as a political office. I see it as a service organization that currently is stuck in the 20th century. Mm-hmm. My background in HR and business gives me the exact tools we need to move the department in the modern age. It starts with the people-first approach. In HR, I learned that you can have the best technology in the world, but if people behind the counter are burnt out and off from each other, the service suffers. I want to retrain our staff to be more just than the processor. When you come in for a marriage license or a death certificate, you usually are at a major life milestone. You deserve a team that handles those moments with both efficiency and with heart. And so, plus modernizing an office isn't just about buying a new software. It's about recruiting the right digital experts to keep your systems secure and up to date. I also believe in respecting every single taxpayer's dollars. In the business world, you don't spend a dime unless there is a clear return on that investment. I look at your tax dollars in the same way. If it currently takes 5 steps to get your birth certificate when it shouldn't take more than 2, that's a waste of your time and money. So I'm going to find those leaks in the workflow and plug them. I also spent my career negotiating through contracts and holding welders responsible and accountable for their standards. So we are not going to get locked into overpriced, outdated tech on my watch, for sure. Finally, it's about protecting what matters most. It's your privacy. In HR, handling sensitive personal data is a daily responsibility. It's second nature to me. I understand the weight of protecting your birth records, your social security numbers. My career I have built on being audit ready at all times. Whether it's hiring an audit or a financial review, I know how to create or verify paper trails that are essential for election integrity and property records. The bottom line, in private sector, if you provide slow, frustrating services, you go out of business. In government, people often feel that they have no choice but to wait. I want to run this office with the urgency of a business that has to earn your trust in every single day. I'm not just promising transparency and efficiency as slogans. I'm making them an actual standards you can hold me responsible or judge me for my success.
And we've talked a lot today about how the ways in which you want to improve the lives of taxpayers in this position. And one question I have is, how will you make sure non-English speakers can easily access all your services and receive the same benefits as all other taxpayers in this county?
Well, Contra Costa is a beautiful, culturally diverse county. So nearly 25% of our neighbors are born outside the US, and thousands of our homes, English isn't their primary language. As your clerk recorder, I don't see language access as a legal chore. It's the heart of a good customer service and a fiscal responsibility. When a resident can't understand a property lien or an entrepreneur is blocked with filing businesses paperwork because of a language barrier, it costs them money. It leads to missed deadlines, legal fees, and lost wages as well. My plan is to ensure every resident that walks through the doors with confidence and protect their financial future. I look at providing services in their local languages. While the current administration has focused heavily on voter education marketing, I believe we need to bring in that same energy to the recorder side of the house, where property and business interest lives. We will proactively translate all vital documents, marriage license, property explainers, birth certificates into 5 most spoken languages like Spanish, Tagalog, Chinese, Vietnamese, and Farsi. While we focus on the county's top 5 languages, for full translations, languages like Hindi, Korean, Punjabi, and Arabic will continue to be supported through our on-demand interpretation services. You shouldn't have to hire a lawyer just to understand a county form. I'm looking at implementing visual plain language how-to guides. By making the process clear, we save residents from expensive filing errors and the need for cost professional help for simple tasks. Time is money. No resident should have to leave the office and come back with a translator because we aren't prepared to help them. I'm looking at putting the VRI tablets, which is a video interpreting tablet, at every service window. If a resident's walking, speaking in a language or our staff doesn't know, we instantly can connect to a live or certified interpreter. This keeps the line moving and ensures the resident gets it right the very first time. Our website needs to work as hard as you do. So we'll replace clunky automated translators with modern AI tools verified by human linguists. This ensures that the portal is a reliable tool for your business owners and the homeowners, regardless of the language you speak. Leveraging my 2 decades in HR, I know a diverse team is more efficient. So I will advocate for strong stipends for certified bilingual staff. This isn't just a benefit for the employee, but also it will give us a good ROI. I'll appoint language access coordinators to partner with groups like Hispanic Chambers of Commerce and other API organizations. We will audit our services to ensure We are just not available, but truly helping our local community to thrive. Whether you're a Spanish-speaking grandmother protecting your home from fraud or a Tagalog-speaking entrepreneur opening for your first shop, you should feel welcome and capable. By treating language as a bridge, we aren't just supporting a culture, we're also supporting the economic engine of the county.
Great. And I know we've talked a lot today about certain goals you have as clerk-recorder. So my last question for you is, in 4 years from now, how will you know you've succeeded in your position?
Well, success in my view isn't about the absence of problems. It's about the presence of the trust. If I'm standing before you in 4 years asking for your vote again, I'm going to be judged by certain parameters. I call it the Starbucks standard of service. I know I've succeeded. I would have been succeeded when I hear my neighbors say, I actually didn't have to go to the office at all. I want 80% of our routine services like business filings or ordering birth certificates to be done right from the phone. If your lobby wait times in Martinez have dropped by half because of our digital front door is wide open, that's a massive win for me. And then, of course, you're not needing to take any half day off for that. So success means regardless of who wins, the process is beyond reproach. I want to see full participation in open audit days. I know we've won when the emails we get aren't full speculations about how the machine works, but about informed questions from people who actually watched our transparency videos or have taken the tour. We are moving from a trust me system to a show me system. I want our county to be known for the hardest place in California to commit property fraud. I want the majority of the homeowners enrolled in the property alert system that I propose. If we stop even one fraudulent title transfer because of an elderly resident got an automated text alert and called us immediately, that system has paid for itself 1,000 times over. Success has to happen inside too. So I'm going to use my HR background to turn this office into a top-tier employer. When an employee engagement goes up, the staff turnover goes down, and you get better service. Now, a happy, empowered team doesn't process papers; they solve the problems. There is a paradox in this job, though. A great clerk recorder is like a great referee. You usually only notice when something goes wrong. So my goal is to make this office so efficient and common sense that it becomes seamlessly quiet part of your life. So in 4 years, I don't want to just you to recognize me by my name, that is there on the yard sign, but I want you to recognize this office for the first time that has actually worked for you.
Great. Well, this was very informative, and I hope it was very informative for voters who are listening at home. And it was a pleasure speaking with you today. So thank you so much for your time.
It was a pleasure.
You
Thank
too.
you.